Hello, everybody. Thank you all for joining us tonight for this presentation from James Castle House resident A.H. Jerriod Avant. My name is Kristen Hill, and I'm the Cultural Sites Program Coordinator for the James Castle House. I am here tonight with Lavona Andrew, who will be providing ASL interpretation for this event, and of course, with our fantastic resident. So for anyone not familiar with us, the James Castle House celebrates the life and work of American artist James Castle through exhibitions, community programs, research, residency programs, and conservation of the historic spaces where Castle lived and worked for over 4 decades. The James Castle House is a program of the Arts and History Department, which offers many other services, including public art, history programs, archives, cultural grants, and care and conservation. So I want to thank the City of Boise for its ongoing support and for remaining committed to our work at the Boise City Department of Arts and History. We would also like to acknowledge the broader history of the land the James Castle House sits on. We recognize the ancestral, cultural, traditional, and unceded territory of the Shoshone, Bannock, and Northern Paiute people whose land the site is on today. So thank you again for joining us tonight and for your continued support of the arts and cultural community. We strongly encourage your engagement, and we will have a question and answer period at the end of Jerrod's presentation. So feel free to write your thoughts and questions in the chat throughout the presentation, and we can get to those at the end. And now on to the main event. A.H. Jerriod Avant is a poet whose work focuses on place and memory, featuring aspects of the landscapes in which he created them. Originally from Longtown, Mississippi, Jerriod is a graduate of Jackson State University and has earned MFA degrees from Spalding University and New York University. He's currently a doctoral English student and instructor of record at the University of Rhode Island. Jerriod arrived in Boise 8 weeks ago and has spent his time exploring, experimenting, and creating. Over the past 2 months, he has shared himself and his work with our community through poems, images, presentations, and inside the studio events. He has looked with a curious eye on this place that we call home and brought new light to it. We have thoroughly enjoyed having Jerriod at the James Castle House, and we will be very sad to see him go, but we are also excited to see where his curiosity leads him and his work next. So please welcome Jerriod Avant.
Thank you so much, Kristen, and the Boise City Department of Arts and History and all of the staff here at the James Castle House. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna share a video of some of my time here exploring, working here in the studio, experimenting, thinking a lot about sound and language, and I guess most importantly, that language that sort of groomed me. And so here's the video. Now,
Jerriod, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's no audio playing on this, and I know that that was a big part of this video. So if we could just take a moment to correct that, I think it will be great.
Thank you.
My strut Stu Welts, the fan of young sweet blood pops. Psych, the view helps to ban the tongue sweeps up sock. Sly the nukes dealt for hands of lungs, ease fuck sly. Die cause you felt the clan of swung free mugs drop. Fight for 2 belts, but ran among each of them hot. I love you better than a hungry hog loves slop. I love you better than the hungriest hogs love slop. Fight for 2 belts, but ran among each of them hot. Die 'cause you felt the clan and swung free mugs drop. Slide the newts dealt for hands along Z's fuck slot. Sight the view helps the band, the tongue sweeps up sock. My struts do welts the fan, the young sweet blood pops.
So that's a bit of the things I've been thinking about in the 8 weeks that I've been here. Thinking a lot about sound, thinking a lot about patterns and rules, rules to follow and rules to break. Thinking about language and what poems can do. I am gonna read some poems now and talk about some poems. And I've been calling these poems sound tunnels, but I stumbled upon these sort of parameters just through an exercise to sort of get myself to writing, get myself to putting words on the page. And so in that video, that piece of watercolor paper, I'm writing a poem, and I start in the middle of it with what I've been calling a grounding sentence. And the grounding sentence is the only sentence in the poem that makes any sort of grammatical sense across the entire line. And some of these sentences come from conversations with my family, with my mom, or a conversation that one of us had with a different family member, or some of these are lines that I haven't found space for in other poems. And so this is, me in the process, in the creative process, but also being curious about what meaning can be made with such strict parameters. And so with this grounding sentence, I only take from the grounding sentence the vowels. And the vowels dictate the structure of each of the other sentences. So I'm gonna read maybe the first one and I'll stop and sort of talk about it. And I'll stop, I think around the third or fourth one, and I'll read and talk about just sort of how these have changed from the first one to the form that I feel like is probably gonna be the one. And so I'm gonna share my screen again so that you can see this poem while I read it and talk about it. All right, so a reason to get back. Bush hogs over feet drain draws. Wishing dogs go for treats, rain fall. Flushing frogs sober sweet James Jones. Brushing fogs off under peak night fall. Rushing hogs off up on Meek Freak Hall. Pushing flogs off us in the reeking white zones. Pushing flogs off us in the reeking white zone. Rushing hogs off up on Meek Freak Hall. Rushing fogs off under peak night fall. Slushing frogs sober sweet James Jones. Gushing dogs go for treats, rain fall. Bush hogs over feet drain draws. And so with this one, the first sentence was actually the first sentence that I had in my head. And I was remembering riding on the back of a bush hog attached to a tractor that my grandfather was pulling through his field, his garden, and the horror that it would cause if an actual live bush hog was over your feet. Uh, it would drain your jaws. And so just the horror and the danger in that. And so I took the vowels of this sentence or some of the sounds. This was the first one. And so I was just curious about, or these sounds felt good. Bush hogs, drain draws, rainfall, sweet James Jones, slushing frogs. And so I was trying to just stay with it as long as I could. And these lines are reversed midway, and it borrows from blues traditions of the blues poem where you have a line that repeats but is slightly changed, amended from the first version of it. And so in some of these poems, I think the next one, or one of the next ones that I'll show, you'll see a variation between lines 6 and 7, right here where the grammatically correct line repeats. And so this is sort of where I've been living for the past couple of months. So I'll read some of these. What it hit me for. Am I not tainted if I rank the language? Bank be painted, stank be faint with anguish. Can't see language be hanging and anxious. Can man fly stiff raining? I yank the paintings. Band taught syllabi spied, starch banquet angles. Damn, I feign I can't trust the language. Damn, I feign I can't fucks the language. Band taught syllabi spied, starch banquet angles. Can man fly stiff raining? I yank the paintings. Can't see language be hanging and anxious. Bank be painted, stank be faint with anguish. Am I not tainted if I rank the language? The knife of redistricting. Cutting land elections weapon. Running hand, threat it beckons. Coming sand, set this record. Stunning man, sweat this method. Gunning band, check its seconds. Nothing can wreck this wreckage. Nothing can wreck this wreckage. Gunning band, check its seconds. Stunning man, sweat this method. Coming sand, set this record. Running hand, threat it beckons. Cutting land, elections weapon. I'll share this one because the sixth line follows this blues tradition of changing it slightly from the previous line. Not a song for you. Red towers take licks, wrong man off. Dead showers, naked strong ran off. Shed hours, rated zones can off. Bed hours, take it long, banged halt. She. Flowers make it belong, hang loft. Isn't Powers his favorite song, sang off. Isn't Powers his favorite song, sang soft. She. Flowers make it belong, hang loft. Bed hours take it long, banged halt. Shed hours, rated zones can off. Dead showers, naked strong ran off. Red towers take licks, wrong man off. The nerve of death. I read fly cheeks deriving by spreads for prime meringue. A bed by weeks reviving shy treads far trying abstain. For scared high streets enliven why said a frying a man. Spy dread sky reeks surviving our bread applying the thing. Cause shred lie reeks connive and lie red a crime for pain. The dead I keeps alive in my head are dying again. The dead I keeps alive in my head are dying again. Cause shred lie reeks connive and lie red a crime for pain. Spy dread sky reeks surviving our bread applying the thing. For scared high shrieks enliven why said a frying a man. A bed by weeks reviving shy treads far trying abstain. I read fly cheeks deriving by spreads for pride around. Super thick. How glance bluff we thick commencement cause slangly and gut ideas. Chow saying snuff sit cement sense a hang blend mutt fly deal. Wild man shucks he shit contentment the same land cut by steels. Sow can gruff free it intentional wrangling strut die meal. Vow ran rough be hit we mention a dangling but qua heel. Plowing stuff mean with resentment for strangling what I feel. Plowing stuff mean with resentment for strangling what I feel. Vow ran rough be hit we mention a dangling but qua heel. Sow can gruff free it intentional wrangling strut die meal. Wild man shuck, see shit, contentment, the same land cut by steels. Chow saying snuff, see sit, submit, sense a hang blend, mud fly deal. How glance, bluff, we thick commencement, for slang land gut ideas. Dross Hall, as in Boss Hall, for President Dumpity Lumpity Trump. Puget wine, cause sky my sump don't find. Spew blood shine, a lie piles lump stump fine. Chufa rhymes, the lie miles bump on slime. Blue what kind of high I thump on time. Pure find a die cry Trump hunt crime. You the kind of fly dry hogs won't mind. You the kind of fly dry hogs won't mind. Pure find a die cry Trump hunt crime. Blue what kind of high I taunt on time. Chupa rhymes, the lob miles bump on time. Spuglet shine, a lot pile lump stump fine. Puget wine, cause sky my sump don't find. I've got 3 more of these. Yeah, 3 more. All I eat. I'll share this one too, because I think it's probably got all of the qualities or follows all the rules and breaks all the rules that I want these to be abiding by and breaking. All I eat. Call my peeps, my skills, call my creed, my babe, my drawl, heavy bats. Sprawl, dry creeks, dry quills, sprawl, dry feed, dry clay, dry small, petty lads. Tall, try peaks, try hills, tall, try breed, try way, try gall, ready cats. Ball by feast, by bills, ball by lead, by splay, by all sweaty hats. Crawl, why cheat, why steal, crawl, why speed, why stay, why stall, steady man. All I eat, I kill. All I need, I say, I already have. All I eat, I feel. All I need, I pray, I already have. Crawl, why cheat, why steal, crawl, why speed, why stay, why stall, steady man. Ball by feast, by bills, ball by lead, by splay, by all sweaty hats. Tall, try peaks, try heels, tall, try breed, try way, try gall, ready calves. Sprawl, dry creeks, dry quills, sprawl, dry feed, dry clay, dry small, petty lads. Call my peeps, my skill. Call my creed, my bay, my draw, heavy bag. And I think these I'm getting into now, the lines all have the same syllable count. But the only rule is that I keep true to the vowel in that originating sentence. And so, of course, I'm sacrificing meaning for language, but I mean meaning for sound, for the sonic qualities of these sentences or lines. But what I keep telling myself is that I'm giving myself a small amount of space to create a voice or have a voice, to say something that's easily intelligible, and letting the soul of that sentence, which I believe in these cases are the vowels, letting those affect or infect each of the other lines that I put around it. How many more do I have? 2. These are fun. All right, so this one is actually the one that was in the opening video. Freddie King, Beaten Eggs, and It's All Love. This riffs on a metaphor that Freddie King uses in a song about loving his woman more than hogs love slop. So Freddie King, Beaten Eggs, and It's All Love. My struts through welts the fan, a young sweet blood pops. Sight, the view helps to ban, a tongue sweeps up sock. Slide the newt to depth for hands along Z's fuck slot. Doc, as you felt the clan of swung free mugs drop. Fight for 2 belts, but ran among each of them hot. I love you better than the hungry hogs love slop. I love you better than the hungriest hogs love slop. Fight for 2 belts, but ran among each of them hot. Doc, as you felt the clan of swung free mugs drop. Slide the newts dealt for hands along Z's fuck slop. Sight, the view helped to ban, the tongue sweeps up sock. My struts through welts the fan, a young sweet blood pops. So this is the last one that I'll read. Land of the plea, home of the graves. Hung minds, who sinning, tales go wrong, who bit the trustful zoo the wire. Hum rhymes, choose billing jails, pro roams, choose spit the custard, spew the light. Scum swine, blue shrilling scales, throw on blue shitter buzzard to a mic. Gun times, shoes spinning trails, low moan, shoe fit the mustard, drew the ire. Punch lines, do grinning, bells toll home, do pitch for lustful coup acquire. Sometimes you've been in hell so long, you get accustomed to the fire. Sometimes you've been in hell so long, you get accustomed to the fire. Punchlines, do grinning bells, toll home, do pitch for lustful coup acquire. Gun times, choose spinning trails, low moan, shoe fit the mustard, drew the iron. Scum swine, blue shrilling scales, throw on blue shit a buzzard to a mic. Hum rhymes, choose billing jails, pro wrongs, choose spit the custard, spew the light. Hung minds, who sinning, tales go wrong, who bit the trustful zoo the white. And so those are, the things that I've been obsessing over for the last couple of months. It's been a lot of fun to think about Castles' work, to think about the way he uses text in his work, the way that for most of the time, he had little use for the meaning making principles of text and language, but clearly understood how text functions, how it can signal information or give information or direct us or inform us. But in that, he had little use for the meaning making principles of language. I was curious as to what if I risked a great deal of meaning to privilege the sounds of African American vernacular English, dialect, these voices that I'm most grateful for being a part of my life. And I guess being a musician, you know, for so much of my life, marching bands, you know, music has always sort of been a thing that I'm curious about, you know, writing, and this has been fun to think about, fun to play with, um, fun to get stuck when there's, you know, not a verb to rhyme with the word every, and having to, you know, find 3 words to make up, or 2 words to make up for these multi-syllabic words. It's fun. It's fun giving myself, you know, these parameters to go in and try to make meaning. Because I think for me, the surprise is that when I do actually get to make sense, if you think about one like all I eat, um, you know, I'm actually able to make grammatically correct sentences with the vowel structures of that originating sentence. And so I don't know, it's a good surprise when I do, you know, dig deep enough and find a way to make things make sense amongst so much chaos and so much rule, so many rules being broken. But you know, really honoring a voice, a tradition, participating in a tradition of play, of I guess experimenting with poems and what they sound and what they look like. Um, and so I will. I've also been uh, taking uh, some photos with a group, and I think some of them are probably here from the 208 Film Society. We've been doing, you know, socially distanced photo walks across the city. And so these are some of those. I think some of them may show up in some of these photos. Um, it's nice to get out on foot and see a place, and see things that are that remind you of home. There's so much good signage here in Boise, and it reminds me of, you know, looking forward to the signage when I go home, because the language on the signage is so good. These are some of the guys that go on these photo walks. You know, old cars is always the thing people you know, are eager to take photos of. And they're good. I love the textures. You know, I always thinking about color and more good signage. The structures here, um, you know, just the form, all those garbage cans and pastel porta potties. Um, it used to draw my eye. Horse butts, apparently. Me and some buddies drove up to Ketchum, Idaho. These are some photos from on the way and on the way there and on the way back. Um, these are, you know, some of the same things that I would gravitate toward wherever I am. It's good to be able to find similarities and parallels. Some mundane things like garbage cans. each week, someone different leads a photo walk, so they will meet somewhere and start at a different location and go a different direction in a different neighborhood or different place. It's been really good to get to see as much of Idaho as I've seen, and it's very little that I've seen, but parts that I've seen, I've enjoyed. There are these willow trees have been my favorite trees because some of them get really yellow, and that's black and white. But there's another photo in here with a couple of them that are going toward yellow. It's still kind of green. The ones at home are always like just black and with the black and gray with white hanging moss. Got out in the foothills. So it's just good to see, making a difference. This happy accident. These willows. Sometimes they get like I've seen some that are like absolutely gold, but these still have some green to them. They're my favorite. Those are all the photos I have here. Are we good on time, Kristen?
Yes, we are at 6:42 right now.
I feel like I left out some things, but
that was really wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. It feels like having seen the photo slides that you just showed, it really is kind of impacting for the first time the amount of time that you've spent in Boise, considering when you gave your first talk and showed a bunch of photos that were largely from Mississippi, and it's really cool to see Boise through that lens.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to see the things that I gravitated toward here, like gravitating toward the signs and the old out of order things, the colors, just the landscape. I don't know, being pulled here similarly to the way that I'm pulled at home feels good.
That is wonderful. It is. I'm glad that it has been a rewarding experience for you to be able to explore that here. I think we've got some questions coming in. Are you ready to answer some questions?
I'll try. I'll do my best.
All right. We've got another question. It looks like from your brother. What are the leading artistic themes you'll take away from your time in Boise, and what's unique about Boise?
What's unique about Boise? The foothills, the sand, stick out to me. I guess the most. The big sky. Drivers here are usually tired. The burger joint signage. Yeah, I think those are some of the things that stick out to me. I think artistically, just being able to, I guess I'm here with a skewed perspective because you know, I'm not here as a person who lives in Boise. I'm a visitor, having, you know, like things are sort of catered to me here. So I have a different experience than someone who lives here that doesn't necessarily in these ways. Um, but being here under these circumstances, being able to, hear myself out loud, um, have the quiet, uh, I think it's allowed me to hear myself a lot more clearly, having the distance, having the distance from home, having the distance from my uh, ordinary everyday life, and I don't know. It's been quiet and nice, and has allowed me, I think, that sort of artistic uh, to sit and listen and hear myself.
I love that sentiment to be able to hear yourself more clearly. All right, so we've got a few other questions. So Roberta Johnson asks, without reading along with your poems, but only hearing you recite them, I hear the cadence of many rap songs. Is this something you hear or have contemplated?
I mean, I think I've thought about it a lot, because I'm a hip hop fan. I'm an '80s baby. We played rap songs in the high school band, and college band, and so rhyme has always been a part of my life. Uh, if you follow politics in America, rhyme has been a part of your life. And so I think cadence of a line. I mean, yes, the answer is yes. The answer is yes, I do. And I guess I'm not shy about, I guess I'm exploiting, in a way, I'm exploiting rhyme. Um, but I think it happens in a way that sort of desensitizes it, because, you're not always making sense, and you're listening for something else other than um, the repeated vowel structure. Um, and then I don't, I guess, always take the easy rhyme on these, the way that boil, the word boil, and the word hoist, both have the same diphthong, that same oi vowel, but they don't rhyme necessarily. You wouldn't see them at the end of a line with a hard rhyme usually. So it's fun to sort of even play with how close you rhyme and how you stack or stretch out a cadence. Um, I don't know, being from the South and speaking from I guess a Black Southern dialect, um, drawing out vowels is our bread and butter. And so, I mean, it's one of the favorite features of this dialect, and it's so much fun to play with. Yeah.
Thank you. We've got a comment from Lori Parker. Stunning presentation. The poetry was visual and then felt so musical. I love that you talked about risk in veering from meaning. I feel this experience was universal in bringing the listener to an edge. Do you use video typically? That part was unexpected. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord. I've made, I guess, little or stitched together videos like this before. But I think in a way to sort of encapsulate or package in a way the experience of my time here. I think the video who let or gave a view of the process of bees and some of the things that, some of the sounds that were happening here that I paid attention to. Like every time I get water, I'm a kid again. And there's usually some water on the floor. But yeah, I didn't answer the question.
Yes, she was asking if you usually used video.
Okay, yeah, I don't usually use video. And so that was new to think about what a video or a group of videos could add to thinking about these poems that I'm thinking.
All right, we've got a question from Scott Key. Beautiful poems and photos. Whenever I hear Missouri or Mississippi and Idaho mentioned in the same sentence, it's usually for a negative reason. Having shared what you've seen here, the landscape colors, is there a melody or rhythm to Boise that is distinct yet evocative of home in a similar positive light?
I mean, I've never felt a rush here in Boise. And I don't know, when you hear a city like Boise, or with a name like Boise, you think city, you think, I don't know, I think city. But the pace of things here have really been, and I don't know if the pandemic is helping this or not, but the pace of things here has very much been to my liking. It's reminded me of the pace at home. Nobody really seems to be in a rush. Yeah, it's good.
I'm glad to hear that. We have a question from Kaylee Bartel. Thank you for your excellent presentation. Do you have any plans for your last few weeks in Boise?
A trip to Garden Valley. I think that's probably the only, I guess, plan. I'm just gonna, I guess, enjoy not having plans and probably just seeing where I end up or what I find from here on out.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, we've got a question from Temple Gladstar. Hello, thank you for this presentation. Your exploration of sound and sense is deliciously rich. I'm excited by the space you're opening by privileging sound. It makes sense. My experience was to close my eyes and feel my way with you through the tunnels. I also felt beats and tones almost there. I guess a comment, not a question, but.
Thank you, Temple.
All right, we've got a follow-up question from Roberta Johnson. ASL was not helpful to James Castle, yet we are using it in this presentation. Just last night on the news, I learned for the first time of Black Sign Language. Do you think your poems would benefit from Black Sign Language because of the Southern dialect you employ?
That would be interesting. That would be very interesting. I'm curious to know. I guess it would take an interpreter or someone who knows sign language to be able to tell that. That's a really interesting idea, though. Like now I want to know. Curious as to what those differences might be. Yeah, thank you, Roberta.
All right, I'm gonna hold on and see if we get any more questions. We have about 5 minutes left, so time for a couple more questions, or if not, that's also fine. I just really want to thank you again, Jerriod. It's amazing to see the work that you've made here really through the lens of the experience you've had here. I feel like it's a privilege to be able to see that.
Yeah.
All right, we do have a question from Katie Young. Have these poems led you to a new place, or do you think you'll continue in these sound tunnels for a while?
It feels like a new space or a new headspace still. I think I'll probably write into these until the well runs dry. You know, until something else has my curiosity. Yeah, as long as it feels good too.
I think that's the perfect amount of time. Well, what's the most memorable thing about Boise?
Oh my God, getting lost week 2.
Yeah, I think I'm going to ask you that when you're, on your way to the airport. That will be
Getting lost that 10 extra miles.
Hopefully that will not happen again. Hopefully that will. That is a unique.
Oh no, that's a one and done.
All right, we have just some thank yous. This was great. It was really great to have you share this stuff with us. It really has been incredible to have you at the James Castle House and to be able to get to know you and your work a little bit better over the last 8 weeks. And we really hope that you will return to Boise often and continue maybe with some of the stuff that you've been doing here.
Yeah, it's been good. I love to be back for almost any of these.
You will always be welcome. Yeah. All right, and I want to thank Lavona also. Thank you so much for interpreting tonight's presentation. Lavona has worked with the James Castle House on numerous occasions since we opened in 2018, and it is always a pleasure to be able to work with her again. She's seen so much growth at the James Castle House, and it's really exciting to be able to engage with her repeatedly. And then thank you all for joining us tonight. This was really fun. And again, I'm going to say we are going to miss Jerriod, and we're so thankful for his willingness to share all of his work and so much of himself throughout this time. We have an events page on our website. So if you're looking for any future opportunities that we have coming up, please check that out. It is jamescastlehouse.org. And that's it. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.